Go ahead.
I'm saying if they lied about that for years, what else are they lying about, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
All right, so we'll have a good time.
Yeah. Well, and first of all, just so you know, we are not angry people. You know what I mean? So like we don't do ad hominem attacks, or we don't do any of that.
You're not going to do any of that. No, that's not going to happen. But I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. You ready?
Sure.
Ready.
You're already flat earthers.
All right. We're starting.
You just haven't had the courage to admit it to yourself.
Yeah.
But we've all been there. We've all been there.
I'm marinating on that right now. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So here, I'm going to go ahead. Fabiola, how are you?
Hey, Leo, I'm fantastic. How are you?
I am great. We have a special treat today here for season 7. We've got Flat Earth Dave.
Yes.
Dave, how are you doing?
Hi, Dave.
I'm doing great. Love talking to people that question their reality.
Well, Dave, before we get started, just so everybody knows who you are, let me do a little bit of an intro here. Flat Earth Dave hails from the East Coast of the United States, where he was born and raised. He began his Flat Earth journey when he left his very lucrative corporate job and started his own company. As a hobby, he hosted a conspiracy comedy show at a New York City comedy club for 3 years. After many fans urged that he look at what he considered to be a ridiculous notion called Flat Earth, he sought out to disprove this conspiracy and put it to bed once and for all. It was then that he discovered Flat Earth was in fact the true Earth and hasn't looked back. He is now on a mission to wake up the world to Flat Earth because it is the most important topic today, especially in light of today's current political and social climate. Now, Dave has been to a lot of other podcasts. So let's just kind of do a little bit of a who's who where he's been. He's been on Alex Jones' InfoWars. Alex been in the news a lot lately. Also, Chris Jericho from the WWE has been on that podcast 4 times. Flyover Conservatives with David and Stacey Whited. We the People Radio. Sam Tripoli's Tinfoil Hat. You've also been on 4 times. Love Sam. Anthony Cumia's In Hot Water, and then also the podcast for comedians Owen Benjamin, which I believe he lives up by us here in northern Idaho, and Chrissy Mayer. Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you've also been on some international shows in Ireland, UK, and Sweden. So, Dave.
And Coast to Coast Radio, Coast to Coast AM with George
Norrie. The big man, George Norrie.
And Caravan to Midnight, Veritas Radio, and a million others. Not a million, maybe 1,000.
Wow,
1,000
that's
others.
Amazing.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So then the most important, and I know you mentioned that the people were coming to you, but just to kind of encapsulate the question more, I mean, how did this be? Because even if you proved it to yourself, how do you become a flat earther where you believe this is the thing you need to kind of make your stamp on the world?
First thing is belief is the enemy of knowing. For example, Where do I live?
You live on Earth.
Well, where on Earth? I mean,
in America.
Where in America?
Oh, I'm not sure. The East Coast, New York.
Yeah. So you read that. Now, do you believe it or do you know it?
I just believe it. I haven't been there.
Right. So believe we can't survive. We can't operate in this world if we have to verify everything. We have to trust other people. We have to look at people, get facial clues. Don't hide their face. And we have to use our energy to navigate this world, right? If you have to verify every single thing anyone tells you, you're never going to get anything done. So you guys believe I live on the East Coast. Yep. Guess what?
Yes. You're
don't. Right. I do.
Okay.
No, I do. Okay. But it's still a belief. I just reaffirmed it a little more. So belief is the enemy of knowing. Belief is easy. You can believe and you're done. You can go smoke a joint. You can go take a nap. You can do whatever you want. Okay. But knowing takes time. So if you wanted to know, you have to go online, find me on Facebook, maybe. Then you find my friends. You look where they are. You find my high school yearbook. You're like, okay, he's in Connecticut. All right. And so then you know. But people are lazy. People are, we're taught to memorize and regurgitate. We're taught to believe anything we're told. So how did I come into this? The same way every flat earther came into it. This is stupid. You're an idiot. I don't know why you're my friend for even suggesting that I look into this, because that's what I did. I banned people from our social media for even suggesting that I watch a 1-minute video. But then my good friend Sophia Smallstorm, she we were talking about, you know, a lot of deceptions in the world that's going on, and I said to her, I said, this world is so deceptive. It's amazing. This was back in 2014, maybe. I said, there's so much deception. She goes, oh, David, it's worse than that. I think the earth might be flat. And I'm just like, not you too. And she goes, here, watch these videos. Now, she sent me some YouTube videos. Do I get all my information from YouTube? No. We get our information from the world. YouTube is just a library. Okay, there's garbage. You can get good information from a magazine. You can also get horrible information. You can get great information on YouTube, truth. You can get nonsense. You can get great information from your neighbor. You can get horrible information from a neighbor. Okay, you have to sort it out. So YouTube's just a platform. So I watched these videos, Mark Sargent's Clues, Flat Earth Clues, and I believe it was Eric Dubay's 200 Proofs. And I said, interesting, but I'm just going to knock this flat earth thing out of the water. I'm going to disprove flat earth. I'm going to prove the globe. And that's it. So I'm going in with a biased mind. I'm going in with an agenda to prove what I want to be true. Well, guess what? The truth doesn't care what you want. Okay? The truth is the truth. And when you look and you realize there's no curvature, boats don't go over the horizon the way they tell us, right? You can't have a rock surrounded by water, surrounded by air, adjacent to a void. Scientifically impossible. Okay, that's scientifically impossible. Okay, so once you start pulling all that together, you know, and then you hear, you know, people say there's a million proofs of the globe and there's no proof of flat Earth. Well, upside down world. Everything is backwards in this world, and that is the most backward statement ever. There are endless proofs of a level horizontal plane that does not move. Okay, when you say flat, everyone's flat. You know, flat. There's mountains, there's hills, there's valleys. Yeah, topographically, right? Water, large bodies of water at rest lay flat, testably, measurably, scientifically, provably flat. Okay, and people go, well, the Earth is too big. You can't see the curve because we're a micron on top of a basketball, right? That's a programmed response,
yeah,
right? But they want
Professor
you to believe.
Dave.
Yeah, they want you to believe. They want you to believe that we're too small, but we can see a ship go over the horizon. Okay, but you know, they say flat earthers don't like science. We love science. We actually use science. Heliocentrism is scientism. There's zero proof. I'm so sure of it. I offer 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof. Anyone that takes my challenge.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. The Flat Earth Challenge. Can you?
The Flat Earth Challenge. We'll get into it a little bit. We'll get into a little bit, and it's very simple. You just have to watch the daily video on the app every day for 2 weeks, and at the end of that, you too will lose the respect of your family and friends because you realize that the Earth is completely not a globe. All right. So, you know, and then Globers expect you to have, you know, well, explain the entire universe then. You know, how about you explain your universe? Because your universe is pseudoscience and nonsense. So, getting back to the curvature, do you know how the circumference of the Earth is? If we live on a globe, what do you know the circumference?
Is it like what? A mile or no? 8 miles?
Not the curvature.
No, not the curvature.
No, I don't know my math.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Flat earthers know more about the globe than globe earthers. You know why? Because if you studied your model, not just read a textbook and believed nonsense, you would be a flat earther because your model is so scientifically impossible and ridiculous that any thinking mind will just go, I don't believe any of this. And it's not about belief. I know that it's not true. So it's 24,000 miles around, 24,901 miles around at the equator. That's what they tell us. Well, the curvature formula for that, now there's a curvature formula. It's called 8 inches per mile squared. Most people short circuit when they hear that. They go, that's too complicated. 8 inches per mile squared. It's very easy. It's not 8 inches per mile because 8 inches per mile is a ramp, right? But if you're going over a ball, the first mile is 8 inches, but then if you keep going, it gets steeper and steeper and steeper. So you have to square the miles. There's a problem with that formula though. So 1 mile, 8 inches, 2 miles, well, square the miles. 2 times 2 is 4 times 8 inches, 32 inches. 3 miles, 3 times 3 times 8 inches is 6 feet. Okay. At 3 miles, there's a 6-foot drop already. So a 6-foot tall person standing at the edge of calm water shouldn't be able to see the surface of the water beyond 3 miles because it should drop below. But we see way farther than that with our naked eye, right? Then we get our P900, P1000 super zoom cameras. We zoom in on things that should be dozens of feet, hundreds of feet below curve, and they're not. We can see them. Okay. So the problem with the formula is if you continue that formula over 1,000 miles, couple thousand miles, it turns into a parabola. Well, we don't live on it. The globe is not a parabola, but for the first 500 miles, it's accurate to a point. Like at 500 miles, I think it's off. There's 3 other more complicated formulas. It's off by, I think, a factor of like 2 or 3 feet or something like that. It's off 0.00 something percent, which is, you could dismissible, right? And the other thing is they jump on us because the 8 inches per mile square is, they say it's wrong because of the parabola. Well, no one can see 1,000 miles. At 1,000 miles, it's still accurate enough. But the thing is, it up to 500 miles, it favors the globe. It actually says there's less curvature than there really is. There really should be. So we always favor the globe. So good. You're going to say something?
Well, I was going to say, I remember when I first got introduced to the flat Earth idea. I remember it was years ago, and somebody said something about Kyrie Irving, I think, making a deal about this, and I was like, "What? There's people that believe in flat Earth?" And then it's been kind of a progression. We've consumed. We're always open to ideas because it's interesting, right? What if it was? I mean, I don't have a dog in the hunt. I mean, I'm here in the middle of nowhere. I don't plan on going up in a spaceship anytime soon. But
that's a good thing.
I do remember. I do remember that we watched the what was the documentary on Netflix, which I know you're going to say it's Netflix. I'm not going to give you any. But Beyond the Curve. I remember they
Behind the Curve.
And I remember they ended that with the laser experiment on the water, and it kind of they left it kind of making flat Earth look a little silly. And I wondered. I mean, was that literally just because it looked like Eric Dubé was involved in that, wasn't he?
It was
no, he was not. It was Mark Sargent and Jaron and Glowbusters and Patricia. So let's talk about that for a second because when it comes up, so it was if you look into the people that made that film, they also made some other films about some very beachy events here that happened in Connecticut. Hit pieces, okay? I don't want to say the name because the bots go crazy. They've made some stuff. So the experiment that Jaron did with the laser, problem with lasers is they spread out. They don't stay tight unless you have a condenser. So we got a condenser. We had I think it was like $15,000 laser, and we put this condenser on it, and we turned it on, and it melted. The condenser melted, right? So now we don't have a working laser. And the experiment was, there was a road along a 3-mile canal, and we had 3 pieces of plywood, and we drilled a hole at 8 feet above the water level on all 3 of them. So we have them all lined up. And if the laser beam can go through all 3, that proves the Earth is flat. If the middle one is higher, which it should be on a ball, the laser beam won't go to the other one because you can no matter how high or low it is, from the first hole, you can aim it up or down. You can aim it up or down, and you don't have to worry about leveling it. It's the third one that tells you what happened to my out of focus. Here we go.
We can see you.
I know I keep going out of focus. So here's what happened. So they couldn't use the laser, so they said let's just try it with a light, and they held a light in the hole, and the guy at the other end, it's dark, it couldn't see it, and then he held the light up over the wood, and he goes, "Oh, I see it now." Okay, and Jaron goes, interesting. Here's the problem. I believe the amount of curvature should be like 17 feet or something. It was ridiculous, but he's only holding it up, 2.5 feet higher? Like if the Earth was a globe, that would make no difference, right? So that's where they cut the film, right? Where Jaron said, interesting. Then they brought it down and they could see it. He goes, "Oh, I see it now." Right? So that kind of proves that the Earth is flat, but everyone there, Globers, Independents, Flat Earthers, we all walked away going, too many variables. We're not making any conclusions. If anything, the only conclusion you make is the Earth is flat, but we didn't even make that. but the film just flipped it, never said it. They just made it look like he was hiding the information. Okay. Then and since we're on that, we got to talk about it. Is they used a ring laser gyro. Gyros hold rigidity in space, right? And they're trying to if you have a gyro spinning, and they had this special ring laser gyro. If the Earth is spinning, it should precess at 15 degrees per hour because that brings us around in 24 hours. Okay. And they did it, and it showed about a 15 degree per hour precession, right? And so they're thinking about it. They're like, well, is that the spin of the Earth, or is that something else? Is that the ether moving? Because in the flat Earth model, we believe that the ether is spinning above us. And so, but Bob was on mic. I think he knew he was on mic, but he's like, yeah, we measured a 15 degree per hour. He goes, we better not let the Globers have that information quite yet, because they'll go crazy. Cut. That's where they put it, right?
Okay.
But here's the thing: if you're on the Earth, on the surface of the Earth is turning once per day. It's turning 15 degrees per hour. If you're on the top of a mountain connected to the Earth, you're still turning at 15 degrees per hour because you go around once a day. As long as you're connected to the Earth at any altitude, it's still on a rotating ball. It still should be 15 degrees per hour. So they went up to on the mountain. I think they're in Denver. And they measured a significantly different rotation at the higher altitude, which unequivocally proves it's not the Earth that's spinning. It's either the ether or something else. But it unequivocally proves that it's not the ball, but they put it in the movie that way. The movie was a hit piece on people. They put it on Netflix. And here's the other thing. When we do these experiments, $15,000 laser. You got people, you're miles apart. It's dark. There's bugs. There's all sorts of stuff that you have to deal with. And when they said, hey, we want to film it, Jaren's like, you'll film it? You'll give us the footage? Like, yeah, no problem. We'll film it. So that's a huge thing off of our plate. Okay. Yeah. So after they filmed it, they go, oh, well, we can't give it to you. We sold it to Netflix, and they said they can't, we're not allowed to give away the raw footage.
Okay.
Oh.
So you can't recut a new.
We can't show them that it's wrong. Now the thing, we could go back and do it again. That's money, time, people, right? It's just not an easy thing to do. These experiments that we do, these laser experiments, these long distance experiments, they're bound to fail. Why are they bound to fail? They're bound to fail because the weather doesn't cooperate, the humidity, the waves on the ocean, if you're doing something, the lighting, just everything. There's like everything has to work perfectly, for the experiment to be done accurately. All right.
And that's a great point that you make there, because I think one of the challenges that I had, because we have several friends that I think would classify themselves as flat earthers. And so, they share videos and stuff. And I find a lot of that stuff very intriguing. But one thing I mentioned to her is like, it seems like a lot of little snippets of things, but then they're very interesting, but then they never give you the full context. And I think of one that had a group of individuals that shot a rocket up into the air with a GoPro or something. And then it appeared like it hit a ceiling. And then it came down, and I'm like, okay, that's freaky. So now tell me what happened when they did it a second time. And there's nothing, because there's no follow-up in the documentary to show me that they did it.
Is that it? You got
so
it?
This is the GoPro the Go Fast rocket, sponsored by GoPro, and it went up, and they did something. This is a little sped up. They gave us an uninterrupted shot down and an uninterrupted shot sideways. And then all of a sudden it went kerplunk, and it hit something, went into a thicker medium, not quite water. It seemed like, something thicker. Don't know. Okay. And the app started going viral, this video. And we're like, what stopped it from spinning all of a sudden? Right. And it was going wild. And all of a sudden, MIT or something came out with said, oh, it had a device called a yo-yo spin anti-despin or something, where these yo-yos come out and wrap around it. And they showed a little 12-second video of it on a little tiny model of how it would stop spinning, right? Why would they have this? Why would these people doing this amateur rocket launch add something like this, right? It was a total just a total damage control piece. But here's the most important thing that happened. It turned on its side, and when it turned on its side, you could see the moon. Ready? Here comes the moon right here. This little dot right there, that's the moon.
Okay.
Look at the horizon.
Oh, okay.
Horizons look a little flat. Okay. So what does that mean if it's the moon? Well, this happened in Arizona, right here. And if the Earth was a basketball, that rocket was a fraction of a millimeter over the basketball.
Okay.
At the same time, the moon was over Australia. Australia would be underneath that basketball. How could the camera see the moon below the ball?
Yeah,
Right.
that's a good question.
That is intriguing. So you're saying though that, and again, this is great context. You're saying that rocket was not actually a group of flat earthers trying to prove anything. That was actually
that was
Okay, 'cause
amateur rocket enthusiasts. That's all.
okay. So now, but this brings me to a better point, because I thought that was really interesting, and I'm thinking to myself, well, flat Earth has really gotten a lot of uptake. I mean, at least from what I tell, I mean, gosh, in our friend circle up here in northern Idaho, I mean, we've got over 6 or 7 people that really believe in or really are sold on the idea. So I'm
have
thinking,
6 or 7 people that have actually done the work to look and to know that the heliocentric system is complete and total utter nonsense.
well, but my broader point though is I'm just interested in, there's got to be some wealthy people in this movement. So,
There are.
So you're connected. So what are the wealthy people doing to really just annihilate the shit out of this so that they can show that?
Here's the thing. When you're wealthy, you're comfortable, you like your money and stuff. And there's lots of celebrities that love their fame. There's lots of celebrities that know. There's many of them that have their own television shows, right? That spin off from another show. Don't want to say his name, right? But he's full on flat earther, okay? Right? And he's getting to the point where maybe he's retired now. I don't even know if his show's still going on. He might come out. There's other very wealthy people that keep telling us, we're not ready to come out yet. Keep going. Just keep pushing. Keep pushing. Because when it comes out, you want to talk about change. This is change that not even a flat earther can fathom, right? When it comes out that all space programs are fake, you know that, right? Nobody's been into space.
we've said for a long time
we
that we didn't
haven't
believe in the
really-
moon landing, but
Well-
it's so interesting to see the narrative change on
but
the moon landing.
When
Because
this
now
comes
it's like-
out, right?
Right, but now the moon landing is like, it's almost like accepted that it was fake, and it was done because we had to do it fake to keep up the charade with Russia. But there was real stuff that happened, but it's mixed in. I mean, it's totally shifted away from being all real. Now it's, we knew that a portion of it was fake.
Well, see, that's a side story that keeps you believing in space. What's going on here? Let me pull this over. This is footage of the Russians landing a rover on the moon.
Are you able to move that to your?
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry.
Right.
There you go. I didn't transition. Sorry.
That's all right.
So let me just bring it back.
So who was recording them?
This is that's a great question. Would they land 2 rovers on there? Right. Look at the thing. It's a rice cooker on top of a little thing, right? And the lid pops open. I mean, this is what they showed their people as real, and I think they showed us. Right? This is them on the moon. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is that an Atari?
So they did it first.
Yeah. And then this is them landing on the moon. Who filmed it? Look at that little flame. Oh,
That is a good question.
okay.
They used a DJI drone to film that.
Right. and the whole thing with even the Americans on the moon, it's just so ridiculous. We had the LEM that landed on the moon. This guy, forget his name, was left on the spaceship. Okay, well, he's orbiting around in the orbiter while the lander and the other 2 guys land on Earth. Who's panning the camera up to show his floating book? Okay.
Right.
Who's panning the camera? Who's filming this? Right. Now, this is probably done on a 0G plane. You know what a 0G plane is? It takes parabolic arcs. And so that's all they're showing. look, in space, so cool. Why is that even going up?
Right.
Okay. Who's panning the camera?
Maybe the camera's just sitting hooked to something and just.
Yeah. We can make up excuses all day long. Oh, it's on a motion sensor and it's following this. And yeah.
But Dave, I wanted you to expand on what you were saying, where things are going to change. This is the most important, because I'm going to be honest with me, we get in arguments. We have a Telegram group, and some of the people really like the flat Earth content. Others are like, they're literally like, I want to leave for a week and then come back when everybody stops talking about it. And so what I'm trying to say is, I've always said, well, look, I still haven't had anybody make the point to me, why do I need a dog in this hunt? Since I'm not going to space, because I know you seem like you've stayed away from the religious implications of this. So I know that's not where you're going to go. Or the Bible, because we've talked about that a little bit in the show. But why do you think it's the most important?
So look at all the nonsense going on in the world right now. And how are they getting away with this? It's because people are lost in space. Period. They're spinning out of control, spiraling through a godless or distant God, infinite galaxy universe, right? Spreading out. We're living in fear where an asteroid could take us out. We're overpopulated, global warming, running out of fossil fuels. Basically, I call dinosaur juice. All right. All of this stuff is lies. All of it. And they're robbing us, right? They take 40% of your money and then they give you 5% back at the end of the year if you're lucky, and you go, oh, I got 5% back, right? What about the others? What about the rest that they stole? Okay. They're taking your money and using it for technology that we'll never see, using it for medicine that we'll never see, right? At this point, we should have something the size of a roll of quarters that heats our house for our entire life, and something the same size that'll power our house and our cars, right? All of that technology is being hidden from us. The water car, the car that runs on water, right? Water is hydrogen and oxygen, both flammable. Okay. That's being hidden from us because you can't control it. You can't charge for it. And so imagine if you didn't have to pay for fuel for your car, you didn't have to pay for heat or air conditioning for your house, right? And nobody took your hard-earned labor away from you. That's a start. What if you found out that there's more continents? More continents.
Right? That's intriguing. That is intriguing. I mean, a lot of people, haven't even ventured out of their city. You know what I mean? So I'm wondering, does that really? Because somebody made the point to me. They said, look, if you don't, I can't remember what they said. If you don't know where you're from, you can never go home.
That's right. I mean, I'm starting to question whether Antarctica goes all the way around. This might not even be there. Antarctica might just be a couple of islands. It might be a couple of islands, an island off of New Zealand, right? And an island off of here, and maybe an island off of here. This could all be open for all we know because no one's allowed to go there. Okay, like I'm on the ocean side here near New York City, Long Island. Right, when I pull up to Long Island, I don't know how far it goes. Right, it's really like 100 miles or something like that. It's not thousands of miles. I mean, someone could tell me that it's thousands of miles around, right? But I would never know unless I went there. Extra land, extra territory, extraterrestrials from the extra terra in the outer space, right here on Earth. Scientifically possible. I'm not saying there's definitely land out there, but there's a lot of evidence that there's more land out there. And
can we go over some of this evidence? Maybe. Do you
have
there's share.
Well, think about this. So when Admiral Byrd, you know about Admiral Byrd, right?
Yeah.
So Admiral Byrd,
1950s or
1940s and 50s, and then he went out there, did a couple of news conferences. Interesting how he has a flat Earth map behind him with the clock on it. Okay, and he said there's land out there with more resources than anybody, with no human has ever seen. Okay. No human has ever seen it. More resources. And then there's Antarctic Treaty. Every country in the world, or first a dozen, now every major country in the world has signed on to the Antarctic Treaty. And this says nobody can independently explore Antarctica.
And do they say why?
We have to protect the penguins and the ice. Go ahead. Okay. Deforest the Amazon, the lungs of our world. Go ahead. Deforest that. do, genocide people, but don't go where there's no people, no plants, no animals, except a few penguins, and tons of resources that can power our world. How come ExxonMobil isn't petitioning this? Like, hey, you want cheaper fuel? Let's go to Antarctica. No one's allowed to go there.
Now, there are research. I mean, we hear there are researchers there, right?
The researchers there. So where they are is they're on the shoreline of Antarctica. Okay, so let me pull up a map. Pull up this one.
I also caught this was a couple of years ago. I caught a Rogan podcast where this young guy, he apparently had supposedly hiked across Antarctica. I don't know if that's
Colin O'Brady, and it's actual complete and total nonsense. But all of these guys that claim it, they're horrible at lying because they show their course. They show their course. I'll show you. So here's the Gleason's map coming up. Where's that? Why is that not showing? Okay, here we go. So here's the Gleason's map. All right, so here we are. Here's our world: South America, Australia, New Zealand, and this shoreline is Antarctica. So what's out here? But Colin O'Brady, I think he went here, then he went over to here, and then he went over here, and then he was picked up.
Okay.
Oh.
But on a globe, on a globe, he says, well, I went from, let me see where it is. Hold on a second. Antarctica. On a globe, he's like, I went from, I gotta find it.
Well, and my follow-up would be if nobody can go there, how did he get there?
Well, you can go. Don't say nobody can go there because then they jump down and say, look, there's 100 different companies that you can take a $10,000 to $50,000 trip there for 3 days. They put it out of most people's price range, and you just get to go from here to an island here. And by the way, there's islands out here called Rothschild Island. There's like crazy names for these islands that all have to do with what's going on in the world today. But they take you to this little island here and they show you some ice and some penguins. That's it. This little thing. So Colin O'Brady went from here. He said he went from here, then he went to there. That's not crossing Antarctica. I just showed you on the map. He just skirted the edge a little bit. Right. And then his whole thing about how he used a compass. Compasses don't work there. Right. We have people that shown us compasses don't work there. Why don't compasses work there? How come if we have this bipolar world, we don't have compasses that point to the South Pole? They only point to the North Pole. And the South Antarctica is so far away from the North that compasses don't work. Right. Here's our center.
Now, that's interesting. I didn't realize that. So there's no such thing as a compass that points to the South Pole.
Yeah, sometimes they get a compass and they make the magnetic part on the back side, on the south side, and so it points to the north, but it says south. Okay, they just reverse the compass and tell you that's it, and unless you go and check the compass, where's the magnetic part? Okay,
right.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at circumnavigation for a minute, just so people understand. Here's our world. Okay. Here's our magnetic center. I got a magnet here. Okay. So here's my boat or airplane, and look at the needle. It's pointing towards the center. I'm trying to push this west, but I have to keep turning because if I don't turn, I won't be heading west. West is right here on this side. So I'm driving west, but the compass always has to point to the north. Now I'm heading east. East is a circle.
Right.
East is a circle. West is a circle. Same thing is true on a globe on a globe. But if I try to dead reckon, so I'm not moving, I line it up. Okay, that's west. As soon as I start moving, if I don't start turning to the north, I'm heading south. South is every direction away from the center. That is south.
Okay.
That is south. That is south. Okay, here's the problem with the flat earth, though. On a flat earth, you can't head south. Like you can't head from New Zealand and pop up over here. On a globe, you can. You can't head south this way and then pop up over here. Right. That's a problem. Right? It just keeps on going. Right? Nobody has ever done it. Right? Now I'm heading north. And as soon as I pass the North Pole, look, the compass did a 180. I'm heading south. every straight line is south. South is that way, south is that way, south is that way, south is that way. Even if you're heading north, if you keep going in a straight line, you're heading south. Every direction is south.
So then hypothetically,
or there was some pilot, I guess, that we somebody posted in our group that had done the course, what was his name? There was a documentary about him.
It's called Spider Tracks. So this guy said he's going to do southern circumnavigation of the world, go for the world's record. We're like, great. Like, we could track him live.
Yeah, he got a world record. That's right.
Yeah, he got the Guinness Book of World Records. So here's the North Pole. So he went up to North Pole, over here to Alaska, California, Hawaii, out here, these islands, over here, Santiago. Then he went to the supposed South Pole. And then it's like, well, the weather's too bad. So we're changing. We're going to come back here, go up through Brazil, New York, and up and around. And we're like, see, he didn't do it. He didn't do it. And they're like, well, the weather was bad. Guinness Book gave him the world record for southern circumnavigation. Okay, let's look at that on a flat Earth map. He went here, went over here, went over here, went over here, and came back. That's all he did. He just did this little loop. Is that circumnavigating a ball, or is he just traveling around the world pond? The world is a pond, like a pond. What holds the water in a pond?
Gravity.
Oh no! What holds the what holds the edge?
The contains, the edge.
Yeah. So the edge of the water is held in by the land, right? Mm-hmm. If you lowered the land, the water is going to flow away, right? Mm-hmm. Antarctica, they tell us, is the highest land on Earth. It's the land that surrounds our world pond. All of the continents are surrounded by water, but all of the water is surrounded by land. Antarctica. What's out here in the outer space? Outer space. Why are all of the largest telescopes in the world, besides being owned from the Vatican, another rabbit hole, why are they all in southern places like Santiago and New Zealand? Why are they all looking out and not up? They're all looking away from the center. They're all looking south. What are they looking at? Why aren't they looking up?
So you mean those are telescopes that are looking out instead of looking up, or they're stations?
Out. They're all looking south. They're not looking
So
up.
what is looking? Is it an instrument that they have?
No, they have giant telescopes.
What is looking?
The world's
the telescopes.
All the big telescopes are owned by the Vatican. And you know what their biggest telescopes, the name of it is? The acronym?
What is
Lucifer.
Is it Lucifer?
Yeah, Lucifer. I mean, come on, people. They put it all in front of us. Go ahead.
But you said something earlier that I thought about, at least I don't know if it was how you meant it, but I mean, aren't there powerful enough lenses where we can just see? I mean, it's not even like remotely debatable. Like we can see. Like, I don't know, is there a wealthy person that has like a super telephoto that goes, 100 miles or something? Why can't we see out in like across New York, or not New York Harbor, but from the Statue of Liberty out into the ocean, way, way beyond the 3 mile that we're supposed to? I'm talking like not even remotely close. Can we not, there's no technology that can allow us to do that, to see how far we can see? Or is it the something that's happening on the surface that doesn't allow the lens to see the other side?
Well, if you've ever been in a large swimming pool with crystal clear water, you can't see from one end to the other. If it's like 50-yard long pool, you can't see because it just becomes opaque over distance. By the way, what we're watching here is the U.S. Army's first balloon into space. This is what they showed us as real. Look at this. They showed us that as real. Okay. Let me just show you that again. They showed us this as real.
Oh,
this is what the U.S. Army is showing us, our first trip to space on a balloon.
Oh my!
That's not helping. And like, why can we see the star? Shouldn't the moon be blocking it? Like, the moon is here. Why should we see a star behind it?
Yeah, good question.
But now, Dave, tell me about the community.
Can we talk about the Diomedes?
The what?
The 24-hour sun. So the Diomedes are the two islands that are between Alaska, in the Bering Strait over there.
Yeah.
One supposedly is Russian. The bigger one, the smaller one is American.
Mhm.
And they apparently, I heard that there is a 4 to 5 hour difference, or depends on the time of the year where the sun will rise. And that's right where the international dateline goes through.
Yeah, there's
right?
something funky going on with the international dateline, but I was looking into it and I have to model out more. But because of their latitude difference at a certain time of the year, the sun will show up on one of them and not on the other. Just like the reason we have 24 hours of night in Alaska for a long time, for I don't know, a month or two or 6 months or whatever.
24-hour sun?
Well, 24-hour sun. So here, let's look at it on the app here. Okay. So let me bring the sun to June, April, May, June. So in June, the sun is over the Tropic of Cancer. And so Alaska is right about here. A little hard to say. Alaska is close to the center.
Yeah,
now, the reason the sun sets is because it gets too far away from you, and it sets just like streetlights on a long street. They set. You can't see them. They merge with the horizon, and the atmosphere blocks their light. But during the summer, the very places far north, the sun is always very close to them. Let me speed it up. So the sun, is always very close to the center here. So the sun never sets. Okay? But then 6 months later, when the sun is all the way out of the Tropic of Capricorn, its light can never reach these very northern locations. And so there's 24 hours of darkness. Okay? The sun sets due to perspective. Let me show you an example of that just to bring your head around it. Okay? So that's what the problem with the flat earth is. Well, then I understand in June, when the sun is far away from Antarctica, that they bring it there. Okay. So there should be 24 hours of darkness, which there is. Okay. In the outer parts of Alaska, this doesn't really show you, as you get out in Antarctica. That makes sense. But 24 hours of sun, well, how could that work, right? If the sun was in their summer, so all the way out here, well, how can there be sun here when the sun is way far away? Well, here's the thing. There is no 24-hour sun in Antarctica. There's only 3 or 4 faked videos of it. Clearly fake.
Really?
Clearly, there's no 24-hour sun. Now we have there's some webcams in Antarctica that we were watching, and we could watch these flagpoles, and the shadow goes around, and then it jumps. 8 hours is cut out every day. And we actually messaged them. Jaren from Jarenism was communicating with them, like, well, how come you do that? They're like, well, we don't have enough bandwidth. We don't have this, we don't have that. We're like, we'll send you a hard drive. Just give us, a couple days worth of video. Nope. Then they stop responding. Right? There's no video of the 24-hour sun. So people don't believe me, though. By the way, on the app, if you hit the frequently asked questions button, there's a button called Antarctica and the 24-hour sun. If you click that, up comes videos that YouTube won't let you see. And we show you. We got Colin O'Brady's trip in here. We got Colin O'Brady right here.
Right.
One of those right there. We have the video I was telling you about. We have the Antarctica is closed, which shows you why you can't go there. Okay, we've done all of the people say, why don't you just go there? Why don't you just get a ship? Why don't you do this? Why don't you get a permit? Right? And one of our guys is a lawyer, and he literally broke it down, made the phone calls, emails, checked it out, read the literature, and broke it down into a 30-minute video showing you how you cannot go to Antarctica. So all of these videos that they don't want you to see are right here. Okay. And that's what the app does. You Google flat Earth, you're going to end up at just getting garbage. You're going to end up with what they think is a hurtful video with the guy that calls himself Professor Dave Explains, who's not a professor. He's a failed musician who admits that he doesn't know what he's talking about. He hires other people. He said other scientists, which he won't tell us which ones they are, to inform him so he can go on his YouTube channel.
I thought he was a physicist professor.
He's not. He's a failed musician. He never never got any degrees, I don't believe.
That was a hard.
Well,
interview
I
to
will tell you.
watch.
I tell
Oh
you
my God.
what he is. I mean, despite flat Earth or round Earth or whatever, he's a dick.
Yeah.
You
so
know?
here's the thing. So when you Google flat Earth, that's like one of the top hits. They think that video is hurting us. Basically, what it's doing is it's getting the people that would never look at flat Earth, getting the people that would follow a Professor Dave, right? And I get these emails going, hey, I'm not a flat earther in any way. The Earth is definitely a globe. But why did he act like this? That gives me the opportunity to send them a link. Watch these videos. Watch this playlist. I have a special playlist. I send those emails. And then a couple days later, I get an email back going, holy crap, this thing is real. Right?
I was gonna ask you, because I was like, why do you
track.
do those interviews? Because he seemed like such a dick.
Well,
We're
no.
getting
So
off
here's the
track.
thing. I didn't want to do the interview, and this channel's like, come on, we'll be highly moderated. Will you ask questions and he'll answer them? None of that happened. The whole thing just fell apart right from the beginning. It's all right though. It's bringing tons of people over. It's bringing tons of people over. Yeah, and the people that actually watch that and then go, oh, that's it. The Earth is a globe. They're not smart enough to figure out the reality of the world, and they're better in the Matrix. The Matrix is the heliocentric system. It's a prison for your mind, because if you think you live on a ball with limited resources and limited everything, you're limiting your thoughts, and your thoughts that create your reality are limited, and then you just remain a slave. When you unplug from the Matrix, the heliocentric system, you free your mind and you expand your world, and you take back your power. And that's what they don't want. That's why this is the most important topic of all, because if all the flat earthers, right? And when I say all the flat earthers, we're growing super fast, right? All the flat earthers, if they all know about this thing, they all know about, that nobody has control over them. Nobody has control over their minds other than in your imagination. They're all awake. If people woke up to the flat earth, if everyone in the world watched this video when you post it, right? And they go, hey, this guy's making sense. That's it. All governments crash, right? Everything changes. When this information comes out, you're talking about a shift so big, which I mentioned before, that you can't fathom what's going to happen. And it's all for the better, because we'll take our world back. Right now, we're slaves. These are just the flat earthers that are around me. And this app helps bring people together. I can tap on somebody and
what is the privacy on it? Is it like
you don't have to
you?
Well, so very good. So the trolls out there, it's a tracking app. I have so many things in there to make it a horrible tracking app. One, you can disguise your location by default in your phone. Two, on here you can say show my approximate location only. Okay. Three, you can turn off your location. You can remove yourself from the app if you don't want it. And the fourth thing is, whenever you move to a new location, it doesn't update your location until you manually tell it to update your location. Okay. So here's the thing: if you're worried about being tracked, get rid of your phone and your face.
That's right.
Okay. Because if you have a phone or a face, you're being tracked. Okay. My app is the last thing they're going to use. The last thing. Right.
No. They don't really like flat earthers, and they start.
The whole world was destroyed by Dave's flat earth.
Yeah. So just to show you, when people say flat Earth is dying, does this look like flat Earth is dying? Right?
No.
I can't even see.
Looks like bacteria.
No.
Yeah, this is look at the UK.
So is that a flat Earth map you have there, or is that a globe?
No, this is the globe map. But the reason is because we're using Google services, and we can't.
Gotcha.
They're the ones that have the GPS, right? What does GPS use? It uses latitude and longitude.
Right.
Where's the z-axis? If you're on a globe, how come there's no z-axis? How come they're using a two-dimensional tracking system?
Mm-hmm.
Why do they use a two-dimensional system on a
question.
three-dimensional world?
Mm-hmm. I'll ask our listeners about that. But can you bring up the flat Earth map? And I heard there's different versions of the map. Is that correct?
Well, here's the thing: we don't have a perfect map. I don't believe that our map is perfect. And flat earthers, a lot of people have different ideas. There's a dome. There's no dome. There's just this. There's more land. There's other puddles. There's all sorts of stuff. All interesting stuff. All stuff that's great to discuss. We want the right to explore Antarctica. Are there more lands out there? Right? are there more lands beyond Antarctica? Right. And the question is, we want the right to explore. I mean, is the world set up like this? Right. We're here. Right. And then you have other lands out there. Is the world possibly set up like this? Right. We're here in this puddle, and these are other planets. What is you know what the original definition of planet is?
No.
A small portion of a plane. A planet.
Oh yeah.
A planete.
Okay, a planet.
These are
Okay.
planets of the plane.
Oh, but
All
now that
across-
is not what was in the sky. What is in the sky? Where are the luminaries?
What are the luminaries?
what is the sun?
Great. Yeah. Great question. And I'm not going to answer it, but I'm going to tell you what it's not for
Dang
sure.
it.
So just, is this the truth? I don't know. I want the right to go explore. We need airships back. They demonized.
So you think it's like as above, as below? Because a lot of people say that. So as the plane, you have all these planets in here. Is what is above a reflection of what is in the plane?
Very good. Very, very interesting. There's a video coming out on the app next week showing how the optics of the sky are no way to prove the shape of the Earth. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
So my app is running a little behind. But here's the thing. You asked about the map. This is
The luminaries.
First the map. So the Gleason's map. This is very similar. Here's the thing. When the sun moves, like over here, it's over Sydney. I can call my friend PK up and say, "Hey, where's the sun and what time is it?" He'd be like, "Oh, it's noon, and it's it's at the high point for the day." And then I can call somebody up in Africa, wherever it is. So there's something right about this map. There's something right about it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Where is America? Where is Alaska? And where is Russia on this map?
Well, here's the East Coast right here. Here's California. Here's Alaska.
It's so tiny.
It's so tiny. I'm sorry, but when it's not tiny when you're looking at it, you're looking at it on a small screen, and
you don't have a bigger picture?
I actually can make it a little bigger if I go like this.
Thank you.
Does that help? A little better?
Yeah.
Little.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So wherever you wherever you are, you'll be between your position will be on the line. If you drew a line from the bottom where the sun is to the center, that's where your location is. Okay. And then the sun, wherever the sun is, it goes around and it'll show you where the sun is. Like right now, it's morning in Australia. The sun is rising, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's afternoon here, and the sun is going away. It's getting dark here in California. It's still got a good amount of light, but the sun is about to set here, and it shows you how that works. All right. There's so much more information on this app. It's mind blowing, but we'll.
Yeah, I tried to download it, but my OS said it's too old.
What OS do you have?
I mean, I have an iPhone.
Yeah, but your OS it has to be
15.2
or higher, right?
Yeah.
So
that's
the thing.
Updated like in 2 years or something.
Well, then you can't download it. But
you
every
don't
day
have a web app?
No, well, flatearthdave.com, there's tons of information there. You don't need the app. Okay. Every day.
You don't need the app. Okay.
You don't need the app. Every day there's a new featured video. And I say, watch that video every day for 2 weeks. And at the end of that, if you think the earth is flat, send me your globe proof. But before you do, you have to hit the question mark.
Or if you don't think it's flat.
If you don't think it's flat, if you think the earth is a globe, send me your globe proof.
And you get 3 Bitcoins?
Get 3 Bitcoins. But first, before you do it, check the frequently asked questions, because 99 out of 100 times, someone asked a question that's already answered in the frequently asked questions. I just send them back, check this. And then they're like, oh, and then they become flat earthers. When I say flat earther again, I say that because it's the easiest way to say that we're a level stationary plane. Hey, I'm a horizontal stationary plane earther. What? People are like, what?
Right,
what?
right.
What the hell is that? I'd rather go with the stigma of flat earth because, screw it. The earth is essentially flat. Flat is a description of level and horizontal.
Well, the whole thing is very interesting to me, even outside of flat earth. From the content we've talked about a lot on this, I remembered this book series that my mother bought me as a kid called The Value Tales. And it had all these like famous people, Galileo, it had Louis Pasteur. And I know that we just, blew up Pasteur and his whole paradigm in previous episodes, and I've read a bunch about him at length, and to learn that whole story I was told when I was a kid was a bunch of bullshit. And I remember there being another book in that series about Galileo. And I'm just wondering, I'm like, man, was the Value Tales like the kids' version of the mind fuck of the world? I don't know. I mean, because all these, I got to go back and look at all the other people, because it was like 20 books that we had, and we still have them in a basement somewhere. And so is that really where this started? At least the lie was Galileo. That whole drama was created, because I think that's probably the
all of these guys.
We don't know
all of these guys, I say none of them existed. These are all
really
made up stories. Galileo made a telescope, polishing some glass that can see stuff better than our best telescopes today can. I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. Right? It's absolute nothing. There are people like, well, they're all Freemasons. They're made up Freemasons in my book. I don't know. Aristophanes, the guy that did his Sticks and Shadows, which proves nothing. That was like 2,000 years ago. He there's no mention of him proving the size of the Earth until the mid 1900s. Okay, in a book where it was inserted by the Rockefellers. The bankers make the books to teach you to be good banking customers, not bankers. Okay,
right.
So, hey, Dave, what?
Go ahead.
On that same note, about making that. What is your take on the topic of as far as how it tangentially might relate?
We haven't even talked about the luminaries yet.
We're gonna go to the luminaries.
Okay. So go ahead and go there before I ask. Go ahead.
All right. So in the heliocentric model, if I said the sun was a yoga ball, how big would the Earth be?
Tiny, like a
marble.
Like a small marble, right? Okay. So let's say in it's 12 noon. The sun is directly above you. Okay, it doesn't go above you in Idaho, but it's close enough. And I move the sun to just a mile above your head, and you looked up. What would you see? You're a marble a fraction of a millimeter away from this yoga ball.
I would be dead.
No, forget that. But you would see the entire sky, horizon to horizon, would be the sun, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
Sure. Yep.
Okay. So then I move the sun. You know how far away the sun is in the heliocentric model? No,
like
you don't.
Millions.
Millions of miles.
93 million miles. You know how they figured it out? It's such a ridiculous story. I can't even tell you because you won't believe it.
Tell us.
It's just so it's dumb, and they keep changing it. All right, so I move it 93 million miles away. It's now the size of a coin held at arm's length. You with me?
Okay.
Yeah.
Stay with me. We're gonna do a little math here. Super simple. Okay. Just stay with me, people.
Okay.
So it reduced from the entire sky to the size of a coin, just like we see it. What if I doubled the distance? How much smaller would it get? Use your mind. How much smaller would it get?
If it's a coin,
twice the distance away, how much smaller in the sky? Yeah, from a coin.
Away, it would be like, half,
So some people say it would be
tiny,
half
like
of,
a nickel.
Well, so here's the thing. It went from the entire sky, which it's so big you can't fathom it, to the size of a coin. If I doubled the distance, wouldn't it get a lot smaller? But let's just say half as small as you see it now. All right. What if I made it 8 times farther? 8 times farther. Could you see it?
You wouldn't be able to see it.
Thank you. You're right. Okay. Now, but here, I can't prove that because I can't move the sun 8 times farther to prove it. Okay.
Exactly.
So there's a thing called the angular resolution limit of your eye. Do you know what that means?
No.
No,
See, well, it means just what it says. The angular resolution limits of your eye. So your eye can only see something that is bigger than a certain angle. What I mean by an angle, there's like no angle here. That's 180 degrees, right? So when something gets smaller than 0.02 degrees, that's pretty small, right?
Yeah.
If I held a human hair right up here, you'd see it. But if I moved it all the way back here, you think you could see it? Its angular size is now too small.
Okay.
For your eye to see. So that's the angular resolution limit of your eye, 0.02 degrees. At 8 times farther away, we can all agree that the sun is too small to see. And that's just the angular size. There's a brightness issue too. Every time you double the distance to a light, it's a quarter of the brightness. So it would get dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. So what can we compare that NASA tells us? Well, Polaris. You know what Polaris is?
Yeah, North Star.
Our North Star that never moves. We're corkscrewing through space, traveling billions of miles every year, but Polaris never moves. Okay? That's another rabbit hole. All right? They tell us Polaris is 46 to 48 times bigger than our sun. All right. So we've got the sun at 8 times the distance. By the way, 8 times the current distance of the sun is a light hour, right? Because it's 8 light minutes away. 8 times 8 is 64. We'll call it a light hour. At a light hour, the sun is provably too small to see. Got it?
Yep.
So if we have the Polaris, which is 48 times bigger, how far away would it have to be to equal the same size as the sun? Because remember, they tell us the sun is 400 times bigger than the moon, but it's also 400 times farther. That's why they look like they're the same size. Okay? Okay.
Such a coincidence.
So how far would I have to move Polaris if the sun is a light hour away? Polaris is 48 times bigger. How far would I have to move Polaris to be the same size? 48 times an hour. 48 times an hour. 48 hours away. 2 light days away, and it would be visually the same size, which is too small to see. So Polaris at 2 light hours away is visually too small to see by magnitudes. Okay?
Right.
Okay.
And it's supposed to be 44 times the size.
48?
48 times the sun, but 48 times the size, 48 times as far is 2 light hours. It's only 2 light hours away. No, I'm sorry, 2 light days away. 2 light days away. 48 times 1 hour is 2 light days. So you can't see it at 2 light days away. Could you see it at 2 light weeks away?
No.
Could you see it at 2 light months away?
No.
Could you see it at 2 light years away?
No.
Could you see it at 200 light years away?
No.
Has your brain melted yet? Could you see it at 400 light years away? This is ridiculous. They tell us it's 433 light years away, and we can see it.
Yeah, that makes no
stupid.
Sense.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's stupid.
Did you ask Professor Dave that question?
Yeah, I didn't hear you ask that one.
He won't get. He'll be. And here's the thing: light is like sound. If you were a mile away from me, we could see each other barely, and I said, "Hey," you wouldn't be able to hear me. But if we had a PVC pipe and I yelled through the pipe, you could hear me.
Yep.
Right? Because it's channeling it. Okay. Same thing with light. Light goes through fiber optics forever. Right. I don't know how far. But if you have a light, it spreads out. The light itself spreads out. Get a flashlight, hold it an inch from the wall. Get a light meter and put it on the wall and say, okay, it's 25 lumens. And then move it 10 feet away and put a light meter on the wall. It's now like 1 lumen, right? It's like, and then move it 20 feet away. And it's like, it's just going to thin out and thin out and thin out until it's nothing. Okay.
Okay.
I'm with you.
How could we see the sun? How could we see a star at these ridiculous distances away? Absolute ridiculous distances. They make absolutely no sense.
Because
they're scientifically
they are so
provable.
bright.
So here's the thing: the moon. You've been on a full moon night, no lights around. You can read a book by it. It casts your shadow on the ground, right?
Sure.
So let's just say that's 1 lumen. 1 lumen. It's a measurement of light. You go halfway to the moon, it's 4 lumens. Halfway again, it's 16 lumens. Halfway again, it's 64 lumens. You keep doing that until you're 100 miles from the moon. The moon would have to be over 60 times brighter than we see the sun from Earth for us to see it at 1 lumen. And that's just the moon, 238,000 miles away. Okay? 60 times brighter. Can you imagine the sun twice as bright as it is? You cannot.
Right.
No one's ever seen anything that bright.
Well, so now on that topic, so you bring up some really good points. Now, obviously, you didn't get to have that conversation with Professor Dave, but I mean, have you ever met any, really,
hardcore globalists
that at least respect the math and say, like, I don't know how it works, but you're right. You do point out some interesting things about.
Yeah,
the
and a
videos.
lot
I
of them,
mean,
a lot of them converted. We have there was a guy named Brian Mullen who is an engineer who put out a series of videos. The trolls went after him so hard they called his place a business. They tried to get him fired. They tried to get him disbarred. They were doing everything because he was crushing it. His videos are in the app under Are All Scientists In on it. Are All Scientists and Pilots In on it, and watch those videos. And then there's videos for everyone. There's simple videos. My channel, DITRH, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. I'm also on TikTok, DITRH. Check that out. My videos are for the short attention span people, which I used to be one of.
Oh, yes.
2 minutes, 3 minute videos, 4 minute videos, 1 minute videos.
Okay.
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 I tried to get down to a 5-second video. I think I got one that's 10 seconds, but it's difficult to get much across.
yeah.
So what is your biggest, I would say, proof moment where you're like, oh my gosh, okay, it is really flat? What was that?
Yeah.
you?
So the thing is, when I first, was looking into it, I was like, I'm seeing all of these videos of people saying we see too far. Well, if we're on a ball, right? Something goes over the curve, like my fingernail there, it's behind a physical curve. Zooming in doesn't help, right?
Mhm.
Because there's a
Right,
physical
because
curve.
it's hidden.
There's a physical curve. Physical
Yep,
curve. Right? Well, our sun, our horizon is a optical horizon. All right. And so let me show you how that works. All right. So here is, have you guys seen my flat earth kitchen?
I have not.
Okay. So
it is your kitchen?
This is my kitchen. It's a flat earth kitchen. So here's my counter. It's kind of hard to see. It's flat. And this line here, is this line level? Looks level.
It looks
right?
like it. Yeah.
Right. We're viewing it from, this is the path of the sun. So we're viewing it from the same height. So we're viewing it from a celestial position. So here's the sun coming across nice and level. This is either mountains, a city skyline, or just the atmospheric deck of opacity. We're not below it. We're staying above it, right? Now I have a terrestrial camera on the other end watching it go away. Same thing from the other side from a terrestrial point of view. Look at this line. Is it level? Looks like it's going down.
Looks level.
And
Right.
Yeah.
does this look like it's going below? This thing looks like it's at eye level, but it looks like it's below it. Now look at this line. This is a level line, and this is just going beyond it. And this looks like it's at eye level. Okay? That's how perspective works. Now let's watch it compared to a real sunset. Here I am, moving away, level. Here's the sun going down, and look what it's doing. It's going behind the atmospheric deck of opacity, or that could even be mountains in the distance. You there?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's just going beyond it. It's just going beyond it. Right? So these lights are all at the same level, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This actually not one. This is too long. I'll show you this one. So here's the sun going away, and these clouds merge with the horizon. I put these clouds in, and as they merge, it just goes beyond it, and you can't. This is at your eye level, but it's this. These clouds are all at the same height, but everything merges into the horizon. Okay, so let's take a look at on how that works. So here's the thing. One of the things you asked earlier is how come we can't see from New York to
London
UK?
or whatever.
Well, what's big enough for you to see? That's the first problem. The bigger problem is the atmosphere just becomes opaque. 100 miles, the atmosphere becomes opaque. 150, 200 miles, it becomes opaque. So now, do you see me right now? Careful. Do you see me, or do you see the light that's bouncing off of me?
The light.
The light.
Very course. We can prove that. Turn off all the lights, and then you won't see me.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Now, what's brighter? The light that's bouncing off of me, or the source of the light that's lighting me up?
The source.
Of course. And we could prove that because that's just, that's scientifically provable. So here's a famous viewing spot in Alusia, France, and we're looking out over the ocean. And out here, 175 miles away, is Mount Canigou. Well, Mount Canigou, from this viewing height, if you take our, in the curvature calculator, you put in your viewing height and the distance, tells us, the curvature calculator tells us that the very top of Mount Canigou should be over a half a mile below the curve. Okay, that's why we can't see
Okay.
it. However, twice a year, the sun goes in between the two tropics. Twice a year, it lines up with Mount Canigou and that viewing spot. And on that day that it does, the light that's bouncing off of Mount Canigou isn't bright enough to push through the atmosphere. But the sun, which is brighter, is able to push through. And when it goes beyond Mount Canigou, it backlights it, and all of a sudden you can see it. And the very top here should be over a half a mile below a physical horizon. You think this is a physical horizon? It's not a physical horizon. And now the global argument for this is, well, the sun and the mountain are already over the curve. They're refracting up and stopping at
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
okay.
didn't get that at all. I was reading about that.
It's because it's nonsense, and your brain, you know better than that. Okay, you know better than that, right? So here, and look, and that is not a mirage. It's nothing, right? Here is a tower, oil rig, 9.4 miles away. That doesn't seem like that far, but according to Globe Math, if the camera's 1 foot off the water, which this camera is, there should be 59 feet of curvature. We can see the surface of the water far beyond we shouldn't be able to see the surface of the water beyond 1.2 miles away. Okay, from that height, the curvature is a foot at 1.2 miles. Okay, let's call it 2 miles. But we can see the water way, way, way into the distance. It's because the horizon is optical. What do I mean by that? Right? Angular resolution limits of your eyes. The sky comes together, and when it meets the water, that's where you can't see anymore. But if I zoomed in, I make that bigger and I can see farther. So here's an example of that. So here we have the horizon. There's no boats out here, right? So we're zooming in.
Okay.
We're increasing the angular size, and as we increase the angular size, all of a sudden we can see. Oh, look, there's a boat.
Oh.
Okay. Now watch. When we zoom out.
Oh, you can even see the people.
Yeah. When we zoom out, the boat's going to disappear from the bottom up. See,
right.
Bottom's gone, and then the whole thing becomes too small. And
there's a curvature right
it's
there.
over the curve. Well, I'm zooming in on it. I'm not zooming over the curve. I'm zooming in. All I'm doing is changing the angular size. So here's a question. Can my finger hide my entire face?
No.
These little waves in the foreground are bigger than the boat. And if that little wave was closer to you, it could hide my entire face. It could hide a city skyline. A wave a millimeter above your eye level can hide an entire city skyline in a distance, because that city skyline is getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Right.
It hides behind it. Right.
Yeah.
Everything rises up to just below eye level, because you can never see far enough. If you're ever at the water and you're like, where is the horizon? Get a glass of water and hold it up to your eye, in front of your eye, and look across the surface of the water, and that's where the real horizon is. And sometimes it'll look closer, sometimes it'll look farther, based on weather conditions.
Got it. So since we're talking about ships, do we have time to talk about navigation paths, planes?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. So let's talk about some southern flights. All right. So
all right.
We've got our globe, equator. Don't get confused. I have some green plant things on here and they disappear.
Okay.
The top half is the north, the bottom half is the south. Right? So use your mind.
Okay.
You can pick any two locations, any combinations, any two airports that are both in the northern hemisphere, and you're going to fly from one to the other. Would you ever need to go below the equator?
I don't think so.
You're right.
Well,
Unless, you talk about, how full the flight is.
No. A direct flight. A direct flight.
A direct flight. No,
but if the Earth is tilted.
Forget the tilt. Doesn't matter if it's tilted or upside down. You're going from one northern location to the other.
North or south. You wouldn't have to. No.
You're going, like, I'm going from here to here, or to here, or to here, or to here, or to here. I'm not going to go
A
down
direct
and then
flight.
go up. I'm going to go over. I'm going to go from one location to the other. It doesn't matter. I'm never going to go below the equator. And guess what? You're right. No northern flights do that. No northern flight going from one northern location to another northern location ever crosses the equator.
Mhm.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Stupid.
Makes sense. Yep.
Same thing
Got
should be
it.
true for southern flights.
Yeah, sure.
They why would they go up into the north? But when we look at southern flights, like what the hell is going on here, right?
And you're saying without stopping.
Without,
Right,
well, no,
direct
they're
flight.
making stops. Some of them make stops, right? But there's
Mhm.
people that want to go to Johannesburg from Santiago, but they go all the way up to
Professor
Senegal.
Dave was making fun of you.
I don't even remember
Santiago,
what.
yeah.
Yeah. So here's one, right? They go all the way up to Los Angeles, right? This leg is about the same as going straight over here. Why didn't they go over
Mhm.
here? Why did they go all
They
the way
needed to pick up some Americans. I
That's-
mean,
that's
Americans have
ridiculous.
money.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
It's more cost efficient.
Here is the trip. This is the trip, crossing the equator twice, right? That's because it's basically a straight
Really?
line, right? Let's look at another one. Well, here's the thing, and we're going to get rid of that. They have to pick up more passengers because I'm going to destroy that in just a moment. But then
Yeah, do that.
stopping in Los Angeles, right? The people want to go to, this is one to Peru.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's plenty of people. That's their destination. They go all the way up here. Why didn't they just cut across here? Why did they go all the way up and then all the way down? Look at it. It's pretty much a straight line.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's look at
Okay.
one more. Let's one more. This one, they go all the way up here and then down. Look at it. It's a straight line. Why is it a straight
Mhm.
line? Because it's a straight line. This is ridiculous. All right. But people say, well, the airlines, that's their hub. They got to go there, drop passengers off.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay. So here's the problem. There's a thing called emergency landings. Occasionally, somebody has a heart attack, has a baby. They got to land the plane. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Here's a flight from New York to Hawaii. New York to Hawaii. There was an emergency right about here, and they went like 1,000 miles out of the way to go to Seattle. Okay. And they got there in like 15 minutes.
Oh,
How did they do that? Right?
So now, important question. So these are really
documented.
Yeah, these are really interesting.
I'm going to show
like
you
it.
again. I'm showing you memes.
No.
I'm showing you memes. Don't believe them. I'm showing you. Go verify it yourself. I'm going to show you where you can verify it.
But I'm just asking you haven't also seen flight paths that look like they should. You know, like you're saying. I mean, where they
northern flight paths are very similar on a flat Earth and a globe Earth, depending on where they're going. Because because it's when you get into the south where it's wrapped around a ball. Okay.
Okay.
So look, it's right on the flight path. Let's look at another one. Okay.
Seattle, and you said it took 15 minutes.
They got there very fast. Okay, but again, here's another one. Right, going from London to Pakistan, and they went to Moscow. Well, that looks like 1,500 miles out of the way.
Yeah.
What? Why did they go there? Look at it.
Pick up some Russians.
Look, it's right on. Excuse me. It's right on the flight path. Let's just keep going. Let's keep going. Let's just keep going. Here. What about this one? Dallas to Beijing. Stopped in Calgary. Why did they go to Calgary? Look at it. Because this is the path. Calgary's right on the flight path. Again. Again. Okay? This isn't to save money. This isn't to, right? Moscow again. Why? Well, they got a great airport there and a great hospital.
Yeah,
So we went 1,500 miles. So what's that going to take? 3 more hours to get there. Okay? Or did they just stop right exactly on their flight route? Right exactly on their flight route. How many of these do you need? How many? I can keep going. Yeah. There's 16. There's 16 emergency landings.
One more.
Well, my point I was making was, have you ever seen a Sydney to Johannesburg direct flight, or you've never been able to find it. It
No,
never
actually,
is.
we'll talk about that. No, we used to think that flight didn't exist, but we were wrong. Okay, it does
Oh,
exist.
okay.
It does
It
exist.
does. Okay.
Yeah. So, why is this showing like that? Oh, Wellington. There we go. So here's a book. You can buy it on lulu.com called 16 Emergency Landings Proving Flat Earth, or you can just go online, Google it. You'll find there's a full PDF online and you can read it online. Full book. Okay.
Okay.
I like having books because who knows when all this digital stuff is just going to disappear.
That's right.
Documents it, the flight paths, the times, the path, everything, all the news stories. It's all documented in here for you to verify. There's 16 of them. You just found a 17th one that just happened recently. But these absolutely 100% prove the Earth is flat. I like it as a coffee table book because if somebody comes over and they pick it up, they become a flat earther. Okay.
Okay. I'll get it just for that.
So Santiago, Sydney. The Globers say this is the flight that disproves the flat Earth, right? Because the flight path, they go from Santiago. This is the actual flight path up across the United States and then all the way down, right? And if they want to go to Western Australia, it gets worse. They go all the way up, all the way over here to China, and then they go down. Well, if you look at that, this is on a flat Earth. Go all the way up across the United States, China, Western Australia. It's a straight line. Okay. But here's the problem. They say this is too long. It's too long of a path. Okay. It's too long of a flight. The problem is in the app on the Southern Flight, if you hit what about Southern Flights, it shows you how they do it. They have this one plane that has 7 layers of heat resistant paint. To me, sounds like it might be going a little faster than they tell us. We show you how the air currents work that flies at a higher altitude. And this plane is probably flying at like 800 miles an hour with a 200 mile an hour tailwind. All right. That'll get it twice the distance in half the time. Hey, we're way over and I have another
interview.
Okay. Let me just tell people where they can find me. FlatEarthDave.com. I got the crash course there. Take it. You got the app there. If you have a show, you want to book me, it's Book Dave. If you're having an issue with the app with your phone, support, everything is there. FlatEarthDave.com.
Well, thank you so much, Dave, for coming on the show.
Yeah, we had a great time.
Explain it to us. Yeah, we appreciate you so much. Thanks for all the work you do.
I appreciate it. Thanks. And send me a link when this is up, and I'll share it on the app in the interview section. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Take care, Dave.
Thanks. Bye-bye.